So this presentation, I wanted to do a deep dive in what Guardi is, of course, but also why we started Guardi. I think that's very important, and how gamification, because that's what we are focusing on, is how that can lead to behavioral change in security awareness. My name is Jeroen de Raaf. I'm responsible for the growth and marketing within Guardi. I do this for 2 years now. And basically, before I started working at Guardi, I worked at Aon. That's a large risk insurance company. And there I was responsible for the cyber solutions department as a marketing manager. And basically what we saw in that time, and what I was doing also, is that we made a lot of reports, cyber risk reports, global risk reports during the year about all the risks that are happening in the world. And yeah, we always made reports out of that, where we noted the top 10 of most important risk in the world. And that was most of the time a survey to a lot of risk managers in the world. And basically what we got back from them was that apart from the period where we had the pandemic, of course, because in that time the pandemic was at number one, but most of the time, for a lot of years, several years in a row, cyber attack or data breach are risk number one. And what we really see is that within those reports, is that also the human part of it, that the one of the greatest risks are the growing risk of insider threats. So basically, what's the role of your employees within your organizations that they have with these kinds of cyber threats. So basically, we are in a situation that we are trying to fix or trying to face 9 crises at once. So we have the energy crisis, we have the housing crisis, we have the war in the Ukraine and the Palestine, of course. But the 10th risk, so to say, if you look at this table, is which is the biggest risk, that has another challenge as well. And what we see with this challenge is that although it costs $10.5 trillion annually in 2025, that's the assumption, there are still a lot of organizations and a lot of people that are saying, well, okay, but we are too busy with other things. We are not that important. We are not interesting for hackers, or we don't have a budget for this, or I'm not really a target, or even that my people, they already know it. My people are aware. And that's the greatest misassumption that we see, because that's mainly where a great part of the problem lies within those organizations. And also, if you look at it from an insurance perspective, what we saw 20, 30 years ago was that the fire insurances, they were really expensive. And that's the reason for that is that it had a lot of impact when the house caught fire, because there wasn't any material within those houses or in those buildings that could prevent the building from being fired up. So that's also what we see nowadays within cybersecurity. The impact of a cyber breach is really hard to make an assumption up front. It's really hard to know what the cost will be. And that's the reason why a cyber insurance, for example, is really, really expensive. So also those insurance companies are also aiming on, you have to be insured as well, but they are really looking at impact, and they are looking at the probability that something could occur. And to be honest, the probability that something could occur with cybersecurity, that's 100%. So if it's not now, then maybe tomorrow. But the question is, what will be the damage? And you have to keep the damage as low as possible. And one thing you can do is, of course, the technological part, but the other thing is that you have to keep your employees aware also. And looking at those kind of criminals, who are these hackers anyway? Well, it's very diverse. it could be state hackers that work in a team and start to hack other states and other countries as well. But it could also be students from home who work at the attic and trying to hack into schools or whatever. And they are a liability as well, of course. But there are many types of hackers. But always what we see is the top 3 starting points is that these hackers are trying to log in via fist campaigns, for example, and they are going to exploit vulnerabilities in software and in hardware. Because the thing is that a hacker, they don't hack their way into it; they are logging in, and they're just trying to get your credentials so they can get more easy. They are can access your company more easily. And if you are being hacked or not, or you can check that yourself on this website, of course, have I been pwned? So just to do a check if your domain name is already being hacked, or if a breach already had occurred. So what we see is that nowadays, with all the regulations, the NIS2 is coming up within Europe. And it's basically, what is your role within the chain? And so you have to be, I mean, it's not your profession maybe, but it should be your responsibility. You have to know your responsibility. You have to take your responsibility in the whole chain, because you are as strong as your weakest link. So basically, that's where a lot of organizations nowadays are focusing on, is that everybody has its own role within the chain, and you should take your own responsibility. What we see in, I'm not sure if I can move this up a bar, but I think you can read this. But there should be compliance, of course. There are several laws and regulations nowadays, and every country has its own regulation and own laws. But in the EU, we see the GDPR, and the NIS2 is coming up. We have a worldwide, of course, the ISO 27001. In the US, we see several other regulations, and there are a lot of them. And almost every country has its own regulations, but security awareness is always a part of it. And if you look at those specific regulations separately, you will definitely see that there's an overlap. And basically what we see with security awareness is that the aim is to create an open culture of security awareness, where employees not only know the rules, but also understand why they are important. And basically, if you want to achieve and be a more aware organization, what you should do is offer training, not once a year, but it's important to offer that in a structured way, so that people can be more aware of this subject. But also you will see behavioral change when they have training more than once a year. All right. The reason why we started Guardi is that one of our founders, he had another company in the oil and the gas industry, where he gave training to a lot of employees working at that industry. And basically what they were focusing on later on is that you have to embrace gamification. And we name it from helicopter escape to cyber awareness. And basically why we use this is what he did when he had the training center, is that they offered a UET training, and that's a helicopter underwater escape training. And basically what it does is that once per 4 years, that employees who were working on a platform, for example, should train such an UET training. And basically this is what it looks like. So All right. Well, these kinds of training, they make a lot of impact on the employees, but they only have to do it once per 4 year. So basically, if a person will have such if it happens in those 4 years, for example, in year 3, then what do they even know about that course, right? So yeah, it's already away. They have forgotten for a lot of it already. So basically, what we are doing, what we really want to achieve with Gardi is that you offer the training on a structured way. So who are we? Gardi is part of the Gizmo Cyber Group. We have 2 brands. We have Goose VPN and we have Gardi. Goose VM is our business to consumer product, and Gardi is our B2B product. Goose VPN has started in 2016. What we noticed in 2016 was that, or 2018, when the GDPR came in place, was that a lot of organizations from the Netherlands, especially, came to us if they could use our VPN service as well. So yeah, well, that's okay. A lot of organizations, due to the GDPR. But what we noticed, for example, the Dutch police also became a client of ours. But what we noticed was that those organizations wanted to have a more robust cybersecurity solution. So basically, what we did is we let that Goose VPN be specifically for those consumers. We nowadays have 300,000 users worldwide, but specifically for the business to business part, we made Gardi. And with Gardi, what we do is we focus on 3 things. First of all, connection. That's where the VPN technology comes in place. Secondly, we offer detection on that VPN connection. So that's an IDS. We made an intrusion detection software on that specific VPN technology. And the third, but certainly not least, because we see a boost in sales, we're looking at specifically the learning part. And the learning part is also something that can be achieved separately. So what we see nowadays is a lot of organizations already have the technological stack in place, but where the challenge lies is the security awareness part. So that's where I'm going to focus on now also. Are there any questions until now? Otherwise, I will proceed, of course.
I think ready to proceed, but that helicopter simulation looks fascinating. I would be a little bit too scared to try that myself as a
yeah, absolutely. It also makes a lot of impact, of course, but that's not what we're doing with Gardi, to be specific. This doesn't come as a surprise for you, I guess. 95% of the cybersecurity breaches are primarily caused by the human factor. This is not something I came up with. This is a study of IBM for like 3 years ago, I believe. But it says something, right? If 95% of the cyber breaches that the human is involved, then you should also offer something that is specifically for those humans. And that's where it goes wrong most of the time. That's what we see. What we see is that if you ask people what they think of e-learning, for example, then most of the time you hear, yeah, e-learning, that's a lot of boring videos, or it's no fun at all, or well, I have to do it. It's we have to be compliant, and I have to do it for my employer. And it's just most of the time it is not effective. And where we want to do it differently is that we want to make it more challenging and more fun. So people are motivated themselves to make these challenges. And how we do that is we want to keep it short and simple. And I mean, cybersecurity is a topic that for many of us, it is not hip and happening. Well, I mean, it's happening, but it's not hip. A lot of people think it's boring. It's not really sexy or anything. So we have to keep it as short and concise as possible. And that's what we do with Gardi. I mean, what we see in organizations, if you look at these images, for example, and you look at the lower picture, is that if organizations are already doing something about security awareness, is that they do an annual formal course, or they do e-learning the classical way. And what we see with that is that, for example, an annual formal course is that they give a lot of information to employees who are just starting out in the organization. So in the first week, they get, oh yeah, we do also something about security awareness. This is the material. Or yeah, they get a training in half a day, for example, about this subject. And if you give a lot of information all at once to people on a subject that they don't really like, what we see is that a week later, they only know 50% of what has been told. And 2 weeks later, they only know 20% of what has been told. So it is not effective. And where we do it differently with Guardi is that we have that whole chunk of knowledge of cybersecurity. We cut that into pieces. We make short and concise challenges out of it. And we give that on a weekly basis to those employees. And by doing it that way, it's far more interesting for those employees to take those challenges, to do those challenges. And after 3 minutes, they can do whatever they were doing. Because nowadays, people are very busy. There aren't that many employees working at the moment. So yeah, they are doing other things. And oh yeah, we also have to do something about security awareness. So by offering it this way, it's far more motivating for a lot of employees. So what we do is a lot of organizations are mainly focusing on the phishing part, which is very important. That's what we are focusing on as well. But it's not just that. It's also about how do you cope with social media? What about working remotely? What about your password policy? How about privacy? And these are all main topics. And below these main topics, we make the challenges. And these challenges we send out on a weekly basis. We have a whole team of security architects. We have CISOs. We have ethical hackers. We have learning development managers. We even have a consumer psychologist. And what that team is doing, they always work 4 weeks ahead. And the reason why they are doing that is we want to stay actual. The example I always give, my girlfriend, she works at the municipality of Amsterdam. A year and a half ago, nobody had heard of ChatGPT. Nowadays, ChatGPT is a liability within the municipality of Amsterdam. Employees are not allowed to use it anymore. Why? It is a cloud solution and employees aren't allowed to upload anything to the cloud. So, okay, telling people they are not allowed to do something anymore and that they aren't doing it anymore, those are two different things. So we really have to make people aware of the fact that it is a liability and what is the risk. Now, those type of information that will also come back in our challenges as well. So these challenges, what does it look like, the game? Everybody starts a fictitious company within Guardi. And if that's a restaurant or if that's a health organization, or it doesn't really matter what kind of organization it is. It is your organization, you have to give it a name. And the thing is you have to keep that alive. And you have to keep that alive by doing challenges. And with these challenges, you could earn money, but you can also earn company image. And we send out these challenges on a weekly basis. If you do that, you finish it after 3 minutes, boom, confetti. Wow, you've done it that week. You can do a bonus challenge. And then if you have completed that also, you can earn even more money and more company image. What do these questions look like? What do these challenges look like? I always give the example of my mother. My mother is 75 years old. She calls me at least one time a month with the question, hey, I got an email from my bank, or I got a text message that I have to pay a bill. What should I do with it? Well, don't pay, of course. But these kind of examples, we all have these kind of examples, right? So that's also what's coming back in our challenges as well. So here you see an example of a challenge. And this is already where we distinguish ourselves from other solutions out there. Because a lot of solutions out there, and with that I mean classical e-learning, they always start with a PDF you have to read through, or a video you have to watch up front. And after that video, you get some questions and you will answer them, and then it's done for that week. or month or whatever. Where we do it differently is that we start with a question right away. So you are proactively pushed to answer that question. And it's a short question and you can give a short answer. So you don't have to press a video, because what it is with videos, people are going to press the play button, they go and grab a cup of coffee, they go and walk to the toilet, they go talk to another colleague, for example, they come back to their desktop, hey, the video has ended, great, they are going to do some question, and that's that. So you're not effective. We want to be effective, and you are being effective by giving a question up front. And people can answer it, they will answer it with A or B, and then we give the explanation. So people are far more interested to see, hey, why do I have it right? Or, hey, I have it wrong. Why do I have it wrong? And if people are answering these questions wrong, then we will repeat this question later on in the challenge. So you can see here that this challenge consists out of 6 questions or some basic information in between. And that's that. So keep it really short, keep it concise, and keep it effective. What we also offer is specific content for specific sectors. I mean, the one organization isn't the other. I mean, we also work together with childcare organizations, for example. They have really specific topics that they want to address than, for example, a company in the make industry, or in the retail, for example. So we can offer these kinds of trainings as well. The whole idea with Gardi is that you compete with other colleagues as well. And you can make even teams within your organizations also. So, for example, if you have team A with 10, 15, 20 persons in it, and that have to compete with team B with also 20 people in it, what we really see is that people are encouraging each other also to do something about Gardi, with these challenges. So they are really motivating each other. Hey, you're in my team. I want to win from team B. Have you already started playing these questions? So I don't know how it's if you have the same experience, but I do not have the experience that people are motivating me to do e-learning, for example. But we definitely see that back in Gardi. So it all starts at a basic level, at a beginner level, and you can earn your way up to become a cyber legend. But to be honest, the experience learns that if you want to become a cyber legend, that might take a while, and that's okay. I told you about the regulations, of course. We have in the world ISO 27001. In the Netherlands, we have all kinds of regulations regarding cybersecurity and security awareness. But what it is, you want to make visible, not only for you, but also for your organization, and also, if applicable, to an audit party, for example, is that you want to make visible how it is going within your organization. And if what we do is we make it visible via a web, so you can see here the main topics that I was mentioning a couple of sheets ago, that on the password part, for example, or on the phishing part, or on the social media part, we can show on an organizational level, a team level, but also an individual level, how it is going within your organization. And if you see after a couple of months, hey, we aren't doing very well on the password part, or if you see some teams that aren't doing really well on that specific part, you could do an extra module specifically for that team, specifically around that subject. And with that, you really make it far more manageable for your organization. And if you view these kinds of reports during the year and you are actively doing something about it, at the end of the year, you have addressed all these kinds of issues. So yeah, it's really tailor-made, and that's really a benefit for a lot of organizations as well. As I've mentioned before, the one organization isn't the other. What we also offer is custom content. So organizations can add their own content as well. So for example, in the one organizations, they have the policy that employees can use 18 characters when they make a password. We say, well, 14 characters is also good. Both are right options, but it has to be part of your policy as well. That you can adjust these modules also. You can adjust these challenges if you would like. You can always look ahead what kind of challenges are coming, so you can adjust that. But you could also, for example, in a lot of organizations, maybe GDPR isn't that much of an interest. Then you can leave that module out of it and place your own module in it. So you're very could turn the knobs yourself, I guess. I'm not sure if I explained it correctly, but you can adjust it to your wishes. Okay, before ending the presentation, I really would like to feature the feature highlights to address it as well. We have a connection with Microsoft Teams, for example. A lot of organizations are using Teams. What we could do is we can put these challenges directly into Teams. And with that, organizations don't have to install anything else on their machine as well. They can just do it via Teams. They click on the link, they go to the browser, they do these challenges, and then they go back. Then they can go back to Teams or whatever. We also have connection with single sign-on, and also Microsoft and Google. And people, we have a connection with Azure AD as well. Every week there will be a new challenge available. On Tuesday is that. We offer this in multiple languages also, and if we don't have the language yet, we can make it happen within 2 weeks. Everybody can use the reporting part, the custom content, leaderboard, and achievements without any extra costs. That's all part of the plan. All right, that was it. Sorry for all the sending, but I wanted to give you a broad overview of what we see in the world of cybersecurity and in the world of awareness, and give you an overview of what Guardi can offer you.